She worked at a construction site, carrying heavy blocks and mixing cement under the hot sun. Her hands were always rough, her clothes always dusty. Every day, she used almost all the money she earned to feed hungry children on the street, keeping very little for herself. People called her foolish. But one day, something shocking happened. Someone followed her in secret, and what they saw that day changed everything. Who really was this woman, and why was she giving away everything she had? Sit back and find out. At the edge of a busy town, where the road was always filled with dust and noise, a tall building was slowly rising into the sky. The construction site was loud from morning till evening, the sound of metal hitting metal. Men shouted to each other from the top of the building, "Bring more cement! Be careful up there!" Heavy blocks rested on tired shoulders. Buckets of wet cement moved from one person to another. The sun was hot, and sweat covered every face. It was not a place for the weak. Only strong men worked there, men with rough hands and loud voices. But among them, there was one person who stood out, a young woman. Her name was Eunice. Every morning, she came to the site wearing a clean, simple dress and a neatly tied scarf. But by evening, her clothes were covered in dust. Her hands became rough, her body tired from carrying heavy blocks. Yet she never complained. Eunice was not very tall, but she was strong. Her body was firm from hard work. Her skin was smooth and glowing, even under the harsh sun. And her face was quietly beautiful. Not loud, not proud, just calm and kind. The kind of beauty that made people look twice. The men at the site often teased her. "Eunice, are you sure you're not stronger than us?" One would say, laughing. "Look at how you carry blocks better than some of us." Another would add. Sometimes, they even clapped for her when she lifted heavy loads. Eunice would just laugh with them, a soft, gentle laugh. She didn't talk much. She simply did her work and kept going. To her, this job meant everything. It was the only thing that put food on her table. So every day she worked under the hot sun. And every evening, when the noise of the site faded away, Eunice would quietly walk back to her small, old house at the end of a narrow street. The house looked worn out. The walls were faded. The roof looked weak. It didn't match her beauty at all. People in the area often talked when they saw her. Why would a girl this beautiful choose such hard work? One woman whispered. She could easily marry a rich man, another said. With her beauty, she shouldn't be suffering like this, a man added. There must be something we don't know. She's hiding something, someone else said quietly. But Eunice never answered anyone. She just smiled and walked away, as if the world did not understand her at all. The next day after work, one by one, the workers gathered around as the boss stood with a small notebook and a bag of money. He called their names and paid each person according to the work they had done. Some smiled, some complained, some counted their money again and again. Then he called Eunice. She stepped forward quietly and received her pay. She looked at the money in her hand. It was not much, but it was enough to get her a simple meal for the night. She folded it carefully and held it tight as she left the site. The road was busy. Eunice walked slowly, her tired body dragging with each step. Then suddenly, a small hand grabbed her clothes. Auntie, please. I have not eaten since morning." Eunice stopped. She turned and looked down. A little boy stood there. He was very dirty. His skin was covered in dust. His hair looked dry and rough. His lips were cracked. He was not even wearing proper clothes, just a torn piece of cloth around his waist. His eyes were full of hunger. Eunice's heart became heavy. She bent down a little and asked softly, "Where are your parents?" The boy shook his head. "I don't have any." Eunice looked at him, then slowly looked at the money in her hand. That was the only money she had. The only money she planned to use to eat that night and the next morning. She stayed quiet for a moment. Then she sighed softly. "Come," she said. She held his hand and led him to a small nearby food place. The woman there was already serving other people. Eunice sat down and said, "Please, "Give us 2 plates of rice." That was all her money could afford. She had planned to keep it for her evening meal and for breakfast the next morning. But now she had to share it. The woman nodded and brought a small plate of rice for each of them. They began to eat. Quietly, Yunus ate slowly. But the boy ate very fast, as if he was afraid the food would disappear. His hands moved quickly, his mouth full, his eyes focused only on the plate. Yunus watched him. Then suddenly, the boy stopped. He looked around quickly, then brought out the small black nylon he was holding. Carefully, he poured the remaining food inside it. Yunus watched him closely. She didn't say a word. When he finished, the boy stood up quickly. "Thank you, Auntie," he said. Before Yunus could say anything, he ran off. Just like that, Yunus sat there, staring at the empty space he left behind. She knew the boy was still hungry. She could see it in the way he ate. She wanted to call him back. She wanted to ask him, "Where are you taking that food?" She had so many questions in her mind. "Where do you live? What is your name?" The thought stayed in her mind, again and again, but she slowly shook her head. "Let me not add more problems to myself," she whispered. She finished her food quietly, then stood up and went home. That night, Yunus got home very late. She sat slowly on her small bed. Her body was heavy, so tired she could barely move. The room was quiet, too quiet. For a moment, she just stared at the wall. Her eyes began to water. She wanted to cry, not because of one thing, but because life had been too hard for her. Too many days of struggle. But then, she remembered the little boy, the dirty clothes, the hungry eyes, the way he ran away holding food tightly. So small, yet still fighting for life. She whispered to herself, "If such a small boy can still smile and keep going, why should I cry?" Slowly, she wiped her eyes, and in that moment, felt like her strength came back, like something inside her had been renewed. About 10 minutes later, she lay down and slept deeply, peacefully. But morning came too fast. Even though Yunus was tired, she knew she had to go to work. Life did not wait for anyone. At the construction site, work began again. The same loud sounds, the same heavy blocks, the same hot sun. Yunus kept working. Over and over, she carried blocks. She mixed cement and sand. She pushed a heavy wheelbarrow across the dusty ground. And still, she laughed and joked with the male workers around her. But what she did not know, down the same road, the little boy was waiting, sitting quietly by the side, looking at every person who passed. His eyes were searching, waiting. He whispered to himself, "That kind auntie, maybe she will pass here today." So he stayed there, waiting, while Yunus, just a short distance away, was pushing another heavy load of sand under the burning sun. That day, work finally came to an end. Yunus received her payment quietly and headed out. Down the same road, the little boy had been waiting since morning. His small body sat by the roadside. He grew tired, very tired, and slowly, he fell asleep. Yunus was walking home when she noticed a small boy lying by the side of the road. She slowed down. "That cloth," she whispered. "It looks familiar." She stepped closer, then bent down and looked carefully. It was him, the same boy she fed the other day. Her heart skipped. "Why is he sleeping here?" She gently tapped him. Boy, wake up. The sun is too hot. Who are you waiting for?" The boy slowly opened his eyes. For a second, he looked confused. Then suddenly, his eyes widened. "Kind auntie," he shouted with joy. "You passed." Yunus paused. That was when she understood. He had been waiting for her. She smiled softly. "I forgot to ask yesterday. What is your name?" "Desmond," he replied. "Desmond," she repeated, smiling. "That's a beautiful name." She looked at him. "Are you hungry again?" "Yes, auntie," he said quietly. Yunus nodded. "Come, let's go and get food." They went to the same small food place. Yunus bought food again with the little money she had. But this time, something was different. When the food was placed in front of them, Desmond did not eat. He just looked at it. Then quietly, He brought out his small black nylon again. Carefully, he packed all the food inside. Eunice watched him closely, confused. "Thank you, Auntie," he said softly. This time, he didn't run. He just turned and began to walk away slowly. Eunice stood there watching him. He looked tired, each step slow, weak, like he had no strength left. Her heart began to beat faster. Why didn't he eat? She wondered. Curiosity took over. "I have to know," she said quietly. So she decided to follow him. She walked behind him slowly, keeping some distance so he wouldn't notice, but close enough not to lose him. Desmond kept walking, step by step, not knowing someone was behind him. After some time, he turned into an old, broken building. The windows were shattered. The walls cracked. The place looked forgotten. Eunice stopped. "Is this where he lives?" She wondered. She moved closer, carefully, quietly. Then she hid by the side and peeped through the broken window. What she saw made her mouth open in shock. Inside, about 5 children ran toward Desmond. "Desmond, you're back!" They shouted happily. Desmond smiled. He quickly opened the nylon, and they all gathered around, sharing the food, eating calmly, smiling, happy. "I saw that kind auntie again," Desmond said proudly. "She gave us this. God bless that kind auntie," one of the children said. They all laughed softly as they ate. Eunice stood outside, frozen, her eyes filled with tears. These children were eating just one plate of food, and yet they looked satisfied, happy, grateful. She couldn't hold it anymore. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she wanted to know more. So slowly, she walked to the door and stepped inside. The moment the children saw her, they jumped back in fear, hiding behind each other. Only Desmond stood still. "It's okay," he said quickly. "Don't be scared." He pointed at Eunice. "She is the kind auntie." Slowly, the children relaxed. Eunice stepped closer, her voice soft. "Who are you all?" She looked at Desmond. "Are you all brothers and sisters?" Desmond shook his head. "No, Auntie. We are not from the same parents." He looked at the others. "We just stay together, like family." Eunice's heart tightened. "Where are your parents?" she asked gently. The children looked at each other. One spoke. "My mother is gone." Another said, "My father left me." Another whispered, "I don't know my parents." Each answer broke Eunice's heart more. Their words felt heavy, painful, and suddenly, it reminded her of her own past, her own story, her own pain. Her eyes filled again, but quickly, she wiped them. She didn't want them to see. She looked around. The building was open, broken, unsafe, cold. It was not a place for children, but the sky was already getting dark. Eunice knew she had to leave. She reached into her hand and brought out the little money she had left. She gave it to Desmond. "Use this to buy food," she said softly. "Don't come out tomorrow to wait for me under the sun. I will come and see you after work." Desmond nodded. The children smiled. "Thank you, Auntie," they all said together. Eunice gave them one last look, then turned and slowly walked away. But this time, her heart was no longer the same. From that day, Eunice could not stop thinking about the children. That night, she lay on her bed, staring into space. Her body was tired, but her mind was wide awake. She kept seeing their faces, their smiles, their hunger, their small hands sharing one plate of food. And Desmond, a boy so young, yet carrying so much responsibility, taking care of children who were not even related to him. Eunice slowly shook her head. "How can a child be this strong?" she whispered. She looked around her small room, then said softly, "I must do something. I will not leave them like that." The next day at the construction site, Eunice worked even harder than before, but this time, her mind was somewhere else. After work, while others were leaving, Eunice stayed back for a moment. She looked around, then began to pick up old zinc sheets and pieces of wood that had been thrown away. She gathered them quietly, then carried them along with her. With the little money she earned that day, she bought food again and went straight to the old building. The moment the children saw her, their faces lit up. "Auntie!" they shouted happily. They ran to her and hugged her tightly. Eunice smiled, a real smile, the kind she had not felt in a long time. She gave them the food. "Eat first," she said gently, as the children sat down and began to eat happily. Eunice got to work. She picked up the zinc and wood she brought. Then slowly, she began to cover the open spaces, the broken windows, the wide door. Piece by piece, she made the place safer. While the children ate, laughing and chatting, Eunice worked quietly. When the children finished eating, they stood up one by one. "Thank you, Auntie," they said politely. Eunice looked at them, then noticed something. They were still very dirty. She frowned slightly. "You have not bathed?" she asked. They shook their heads. "Where do you get water?" she asked. They pointed outside. "We fetch it from there." Eunice nodded. "Go and bring water." The children quickly ran and brought water in small containers. Then one by one, Eunice bathed them, gently, carefully, like a mother. She cleaned their bodies, wiped their faces, and arranged their hair. The children laughed softly. When she was done, she stood up. "I will come again tomorrow," she said. They nodded happily. Eunice returned to her small room. She fetched her own water, had her bath, ate what little she had left, and lay down to rest. That became her life. Every day, work at the construction site, then straight to the children, feeding them, caring for them, protecting them. Eunice took full responsibility for them, as if they were her own children. As days passed, people began to notice. They saw Eunice going to the abandoned building every evening, carrying food. Some even saw the children running to hug her. Slowly, it became the talk of the area. "Have you seen that girl?" one person said. "The one from the construction site?" "Yes, the same one," another replied. "She is now taking care of those street children in that broken building." People began to laugh. "Look at her," a woman said. "She can barely take care of herself. And now she wants to take care of many children?" Another added. "How foolish can someone be?" A man said, shaking his head. "She is only adding more suffering to her life. She will soon get tired. She is wasting her time." They mocked her. They laughed at her. They talked behind her back. But Eunice never said a word. She just kept going. Every day. But not everyone laughed. Some people watched quietly, and deep in their hearts, they admired her. "Not everyone can do what she is doing," an old woman said softly. "She has a good heart. God sees her," another person whispered. Even though they did not speak loudly, they respected her kindness, because deep down, they knew Eunice was doing something special. Days passed, and the story of Eunice and the children kept spreading around the area. Some still laughed, some still mocked. But one day, something unexpected happened. A young man came into the area. He was an explorer, a content creator. He held a camera and a phone, recording everything he saw. He was looking for real stories, real people, real life. He stopped a group of boys by the roadside. "Can you show me around?" he asked. "I want to see places, things I can film." The boys looked at each other and smiled. "Of course," one of them said. Then suddenly, one of the boys remembered something. He smiled in a mischievous way. "Wait, we know one place," he said. "A very funny place." The others laughed. "Yes, come, let's show you." They led him to the abandoned building. As they got closer, they began to laugh loudly. "There," one of them pointed. "That is the woman we told you about." Eunice was there, bathing the children. The boys didn't stop. "This woman has nothing," one shouted. "She works at a construction site, and yet she thinks she can take care of all these children," another added. They laughed, loudly, mocking her. Eunice stood up quickly. Her heart began to race. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew it didn't feel right. The explorer said nothing. He just held his phone up. He was live, streaming everything. Online, people were watching. Thousands of people. They saw Eunice. Her dusty clothes, her tired face, her gentle eyes. They saw the children, their small bodies, their bright smiles, their broken home. They heard the boys mocking her. She has nothing. She is foolish. She cannot even take care of herself. But something unexpected happened. The people watching did not laugh. Instead, their hearts broke. Comments began to pour in. Who is this woman? She is so kind. This is real love. Someone help her. Where is this place? I want to support them. Please don't let those children suffer. More messages kept coming. Faster. Stronger. People from different places. Different countries. All watching. All touched. The explorer looked at his screen. His eyes widened. The numbers were rising. The comments were flooding in. People were not laughing. They were moved. Deeply. Back at the building, Eunice stood quietly, still trying to protect the children, not knowing that her story had just reached the world, and far away, strangers were already deciding they would not leave her alone. After that day, everything changed. The video kept spreading. More people watched. More hearts were touched. And then, the messages turned into action. Money started coming in. Not small money. Big money. People donated from different places. Use this to take care of the children. Please move them to a better place. Give them a safe home. Food was delivered. Clothes were sent. Every day, something new arrived. People who had never met Eunice began to care for her and the children. And within days, everything changed. The explorer came back. This time, he came with a smile. Eunice, he said softly, there is something you need to see. Eunice looked confused. What is it? She asked. You will see, he replied. He took her to the new place. A clean, safe, beautiful house, with strong walls, good doors, wide windows, light. Eunice stood still. She couldn't believe her eyes. This is for you, the man said. For you and the children. Her hands began to shake. Then he showed her more. Clothes, food, supplies, and then he handed her money. Not small money. A large amount. People sent this, he said. They saw your story. Eunice's eyes filled with tears. She slowly went down on her knees, holding the money tightly. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. She couldn't believe it. In less than a week, her life had changed. The same people who came to laugh at her had unknowingly opened the door to her blessings. And the gifts did not stop. Day after day, new people heard her story. New people sent help. New people supported her. Soon, the news reached the government. They heard about the young woman who had nothing, but still chose to care for homeless children. Eunice, one reporter asked, why did you choose this life? She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice soft, but strong. When I was a child, I lost my parents, she said. I knew what it meant to be alone. People around me were not kind. They did not care. She paused. Tears filled her eyes. But I made a promise that when I grow up, I will never treat any child that way. I know what it feels like to suffer without love. The room became silent. Her words touched everyone. The government was deeply moved. They made a decision, a big one. They made Eunice the head of child care and charity development in the country. They gave her full support. They funded her work. They gave her land, resources, opportunities. And with time, Eunice became very wealthy. A woman who once had nothing, now had more than enough. Her story was shown everywhere. On TV, on phones, across the world. Millions watched her. Even the people who once mocked her saw everything. They felt shame. They regretted their words. They wished they had been kind. But it was too late. While many of them were still struggling, Eunice and the children kept rising. But Eunice did not forget. She sent workers to the streets to find other children in need. She built homes, safe places, where children could eat, sleep, and feel loved. Desmond and the other children were sent to good schools. They had books, clean clothes, food every day. They studied hard. They smiled more. They never lacked anything again. Eunice began to meet important people, government leaders, leaders from other countries. She sat at big tables. She spoke for children. She made changes. She became known everywhere. Companies chose her as their ambassador. People admired her. Anywhere she went, cameras followed. People took pictures. "Please, can we take a photo?" they would ask. Just one selfie. Eunice would smile gently, still humble, still kind. One night, after everything, Eunice went back to her room. She knelt down quietly. Tears fell from her eyes. She lifted her face and whispered, "Thank you, God, for how far you have brought me, and these children." And in that quiet moment, she remembered the construction site, the hunger, the pain, and the day everything changed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in our next story.